The name of the channel is Netflix reviews and movie troll and Netflix reviews. But if you type my name Nikhil Sablania script writing, then you will find it, and you check your WhatsApp also. I have already sent. So today is the sixth class actually, and it's the sixth session actually. But when you look at the YouTube, it will be I think because I couldn't record the video of the first two classes, so on YouTube it would be the fourth class. And the people who are already there for the, if there are some people, I mean, who were already there for the previous last two classes, and they have not introduced themselves, so could you please come? Only three people, not all of them, but only three people in a very short, please introduce yourself. So should I call? Okay, yeah, start Ishan.
Good evening, sir.
Good
My
evening,
name is
Ishan.
Nishan Damle and I am from Sage University, Bhopal.
Oh, you are from Sage. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay.
I am pursuing bachelor's in journalism and mass communication.
Okay. And okay, next one. Welcome, Ishan.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Next person, please come up, who have attended the last two classes, or even who came yesterday. Okay. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. So those who have come today, I mean, so you go to the caption options, show captions. The last, if you are on a phone, then the three dots, if you press on that three dots, then press it and you see the caption option. So even if I am not audible, at least you can read those captions. So start those captions, and there also you can also use chattings, like you can ask any question in between, I will respond it to you. So Siddharth has sent me a message recently. Saw your documentary on water crisis, thirsty city. Beautiful work. Thank you very much, Siddharth. That documentary which I made, it was on water crisis. Particularly, water is available to rich people. I mean, they can buy, but what about the poor people? And like the pandemic which we are going, actually there are a lot of pandemics which are going to come. I mean, last night I was watching this document. It was a kind of documentary series on the when the 10, it says that 10,000 years we human beings started our colonies, and since the time we have started, there are a lot of problems which have come to us, and sometimes the problems are created by human beings, and many times they are, like, we would say, the problems by nature, and problem by too much people living in a closed space, and problems created by the wars, like when there were wars, then the new diseases came, and like cholera, yellow fever, black fever, this influenza which is going today. So water is also, and my concern, very much concern, is environment, and particularly the destruction of mountains. I mean, what I believe, that now we are keep cutting the mountains. The more mountains we cut, and when there is a time of when the ice will melt, and when there will be heavy rains, so mountains won't be there, because they block the flow of water, they turn the way of water, a course is made, and what we call rivers. But if there are no mountains, there won't be river. So what will happen, that this water will go everywhere. That might be our future. It has been predicted in our many religious texts also. If you go to different texts, in Indian text, the story of Manu, and in Western text also, the story of I'm missing his name, and there is a in Buddhist text also. These three texts which I have read so far, the destruction and construction of humanity is related to the water on the earth. So that documentary I made, and that documentary was first screened at Gara Zoba Film Festival in Spain, and this city is hosting it. It hosts every year the environmental, the water related to this meeting of all over the country, like all the countries come over there. So it was screened first time over there, then to CMS Vatavaran film festival in Delhi, and then it was screened for 2 months at some engineering college in Australia, and then some other like platforms online. So thank you very much for watching the film. And now, if all of you are here, like I think many of people have come, many people are attending from the first class. And if you have any questions, please give me uh, the story of Noah. Yeah, the story of Noah in the Bible is also related to that water thing, and construction and reconstruction of humanity. So if anyone is having any question, see in the previous classes, I have the first class which I took was with one person, and he was also from journalism. So there are a lot of people who have come today and they are also from journalism. So the advice which I gave him were mainly three advices. You take it, and I would say you take it and you keep it, because there's a wonderful thing which Anand this Patnaik said. I mean, I forgot his initial name. So Patnaik said this thing that the writer, which is very famous writer. So he said that he nowadays he's working on the tales of Jatak. So he said that Jataks were written so that we can learn from the experience of other people. And so my experience with my friends is, and what I told him, Devdutt, yeah, Devdutt was his name, Devdutt Patnaik. So I'm also leaving, so it's okay. So this he said that we Jataks, the tales of Jataks, they says that we should learn from the experience of other people. And the advice which I gave him was like, you are into journalism, but when you are into journalism, you are too close to the reality. And when you are too close to the reality, what happens that you get a feeling of detachment from the world. And so the detachment comes in all your relations and in your work. And so when you are watching movies, or when you are making movies as a journalist, we had some good journalists in India. We have made like People Live, it's one of my favorite movie, very beautiful movie made by journalists, but something happened to that those people later on. So when you are too much attached to the reality part of the life, then you become detached to the other parts of your life. And particularly when it comes to cinema, or it comes to something glamorized, or it comes to something happiness. So you should grow up a feeling of that, accepting all the things, accepting all the ideas, whether they are fantasies, loud fantasies, fantasies of Supermans, whether they are fantasies of aliens, or whether they are fun, whether they are like a humor or a black humor. So you accept everything, but when you accept all those things, then what happens? Then your detachment from the real world and with your learning of the other worlds will give a very good idea or a very good story. And so, and also that do watch, and do watch, and I want to stress this thing in every class, that keep watching more stuff, keep watching more stuff. There are lots of apps are coming, so keep watching. And he was also fond of reading, so reading is good thing. And he asked me to give the link so that you could go to, he could go to like websites, and he could go to internet and collect those scripts. So you can also go to internet and collect the scripts. So that advice I gave him, and to all the newcomers who are there, because they are from the mass communication department. So good that you have so much nearness to the reality of the life. But at the same time, if you want to pursue, I am not pushing you, if you want to pursue into the films, then you should also. So I told him that you are a journalist, and this is my advice to all of you. You are a journalist, good that you have closeness to the reality part of the life, but also come close to the fantasy, imagination, and sciences and humor. So now today we have some people, and they wanted class to be taken in Hindi, but I will start to take the Hindi class, but there are some difficulties because it's not easy to take class every day. But if I do wanted to take class every day, like till I could do, but taking two classes is not possible. Apart from that, it's about the Hindi. And can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Hindi is a major problem. It was my problem also. Like not Hindi, English was my major problem, and problem of particularly who are into North India. But see, when you are, when I'm not, I don't want to be rude, but you try to understand when you are going for a government job of even a clerk, or when you are going to prepare for some exam, or if you want to go abroad. Likewise, in India, India is a very variant country, and particularly in films, you might be working with someone from Tamil Nadu, another guy is from Kerala, another guy is from Bengal, another guy is from, because these industries are also very good, and we have very good artists and technicians in these industries. So, if you want to pursue a career into films, English Hindi is good, and but some people in India, in Bombay, like particularly from the north belt, they want dialogues or they want their communication to be in Hindi. Like if you are working for Manoj Bajpayee, he will ask you to write the Hindi dialogues, and not in the phonetic Hindi, but particularly Hindi lippy. In that scenario, you need so much of Hindi. It's a good that it is in your asset. It's good, but try to understand that there might be chances that you are going to work with other people. And nowadays, when the foreign companies are coming, when you are producing for Netflix, Amazon, or other, there might be people who are from abroad, and you have to first write up in English. You have to write your whole script in English, then that will be produced in Hindi. And if you make a habit of writing dialogues in English and then translate it into Hindi, that would be better, because if you have a complete English script, you could also pitch that outside India. So that is an asset you have. And but I will take classes in Hindi in future. Now come to the our academic part which I have started. So in the first class, like first after I met Manoj, the major class was about developing an idea into a story. Then we discussed the three act structure. Then we discussed going away with the three act structure, and the role of a guru, a role of a mentor in the movie. And then last class yesterday, I discussed about last class you have seen, I think, what was there in the last class? It was about the backstory. It was about the backstory and the structures. So backstory is a something which I want to continue in this class also. And if you have not seen the previous videos, you can go to the previous videos, and you can check that. It's not that when I'm talking about the backstory, it's important to watch those videos, but it's better if you watch those videos. Now come to the backstory part. So yesterday I saw a movie called The Man Without Gravity. It was an Italian movie about a man who is born without gravity. His body keeps flying. The movie was beautiful. There were also so many national and cultural aspects in that movie, and it I could compare that with the Forrest Gump, which we have discussed about Forrest Gump, that it is a biographical movie, and biographical parts don't have that hero's journey or the three act structure, and it wasn't there in that movie also. It was episodic, small episodes, but somewhere they are connected. Now it this movie was based on a very good idea. A man, yeah. Anyone wants to say?
Sorry, sir. My internet was disconnected. So what is the movie name?
Man Without Gravity. It's on Netflix.
Yeah. Yesterday you said.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So now there was some little bit backstory in that movie. The backstory of his mother, the main character who was born. So the first scene we see a boy coming out and flying in the air, and then we come to know that about the backstory of the mother. Now what is the backstory of her? Simply they said in some dialogue, when his mother is talking to her mother, that this means the grandmother of this child, that she asked that who is the father, and she says, I don't know who is the father. Then she said, you are giving birth in such age. So the backstory here was enough that we don't know who is the father. The mother was into the middle ages, almost crossed 30, 35, almost 40, and then she gave birth. So at that age, she is giving birth. Now, having child without a father is not an issue in that society, but at least you should be able to produce that child to the uh, community. Now they had this child whom they can't produce because he's having some problem, so he can fly. So they fear that society will take it wrongly. So the backstory was told in two sentences, but sometimes we see that people go take a lot of things, like they show a lot of things about the backstory. Now, what is the importance of backstory? That is more important than giving the backstory. What is the importance? The importance is only to stick to your idea, to stick to the ideology which is there, not just idea, the ideology. Now, what is this ideology? I will give example of this movie because it's very recent. I just saw like just 16 hours ago. So the ideology in this movie was that it is an Italian movie and Italian people love their country, but it is a problem that they also have to migrate to America or UK. But there is a psychological thing. Now when you are writing this thing, and this is particularly about the character building. Character building, when you build the character to me, it's not only the main character of the story, but all the characters, and it is a human need. It is taught in the when you are doing psychology honors. There are various needs of the human beings, like our basic need. Now, what is our basic need? Basic need is hunger, thirst, sex. These are our basic needs. Then need of belongingness, like we want to be good with our friends, we want to be good with our relatives. Then need to show some excellence in our career. Then there is another need where we pursue very higher goal. Like I have a goal. Suppose someone is having a goal that one day I will meet my late mother in my dreams, and he meets his late mother in the dreams, so he becomes very happy. Someone is having some practical need that I will win an Olympic gold medal, and he or she wins that, and that need when fulfilled, he gets a feeling of what's the word, that too much happiness, I would say. I mean, you are above the world in your life at that moment. At that moment you will never get back in your life. So these needs you should learn, and particularly the need which I wanted to tell you is about the need of rootedness, and it is rooted in every one of us. So as I said yesterday also, that psychology is very important. So need for rootedness is important. Now, what is this need? Need is like in this movie, the child born. Now, child born is Italian boy, okay, and his mother and some of the part of the Italy have been Americanized, and she keeps the name of the child as Oscar. She thinks that some Italian name will look bad, it's out of fashion, so she keeps. Now here, some things are very beautiful in this movie. I think if people have seen Martin Scorsese's Taxi Driver, if not, then go and watch that movie. Taxi Driver, the role of the taxi driver is played by an Italian actor. The name of the actor is what's his name? He's a very famous actor. I'm just not coming to the name. I'm very poor at the names. So the look of that actor and look of the actor in this movie are very similar. So in this movie, what the director has done, he has taken a story structure of Forrest Gump. He has taken the character which was there in America, played by an Italian American, to Italy, and from there he stresses the need of his rootedness, and that America, the commercial aspect of America, he destroys that commercial aspect of America. I mean, destroys means, of course, he is critical. Anyone can be critical, but not all of us are critical. But yeah, there are some good things and bad things, and when you are criticizing something, it's okay. But the main thing is why he is criticizing. It's not that unreasonable. There is, of course, his whole criticism is based on this need for rootedness, that you, wherever you live, you will always try to keep yourself bound to your birthplaces, your motherlands. The Indians living over there, why they go and watch stars like nights or so, all those things, because they wanted to stay connected to their roots, which is here in India. So this need to rootedness is in the every character. It's every character. And sometimes if you see in your life that a person is going away from the society, so you will find that that person is in the no man's land. I mean, there also you see that somewhere you have to be connected with the people, and this need is everywhere. So when you are developing your characters, so this need you should keep in your mind, and this will guide you that how your story will develop. So building character is very important. And come to the backstory. Now another movie I saw, and it was a Roman epic movie. But the length of the movie and the story which was there in the whole movie, more than that, they told in the very beginning in few lines that this happened to Roman. Now that story was also very beautiful, but why didn't they show that story? Because that was not the intention to show that story. Even if such backstories are not there, the later part of the movie should look beautiful. They should be connected, but they give backstory so that to build up something. Sometimes some information is necessary, so don't waste so much time when you are writing a script. And as I gave the example of this movie, that the backstory of the mother of the main character is told in two dialogues, that I don't know who is the father, and when she also said that Oscar is a good name, like Italian name doesn't look. This also give a reference to the backstory that might be she was living a life of American culture. This is the backstory established here. And one more interesting aspect was there, like this child was flying because he doesn't have the gravity controlling him. So this child was flying, and the grandmother takes out the leather belt of his deceased grandfather and asks his mother to tie up the baby. Now, here also, the reference of a leather belt and the belt of his grandfather, and his grandfather's name was an Italian name, and we saw him in a photo which is there. Belt is a very masculine kind of thing. It's not very feminist character. Belt is also associated with beating women. I mean, beating women means controlling the society, and which is commanded by the men. And somewhere men controls the society, and that keeps us bind to the society. So when she gives the belt to tie up the baby, this is also a kind of a reference to the backstory of their cultural thinking. So when you are developing a story, the backs don't waste so much time. Don't waste so much time in writing lengthy dialogues or showing too much into the backstory. You can also give such intelligent references, and for that you need to. It's not sometimes it's not that you need to think about those things, but as I have told you, it will once it will come into your mind, you won't think the lengthy things, you won't think about the other things, and these will come out of your unconscious. So you have to work on your unconscious, your subconscious state of mind, and that's very important when you are writing. I had a class with some American teacher. He was there in Bombay, and his way of working was totally different. And I found that many of the students couldn't understand what actually he was from some other industry, not particularly from films, but his work was like something you are not coming out of mind, but you are putting external things onto the story. So no need to worry if you can't think intelligent, but use your subconscious. Something comes to your mind. Something what comes to your mind when you are inside you, that will give a beautiful thing. I tell you about one more this about the use of your subconscious mind, that let it go when you are writing. When you are writing, let it go, but keep a grammatical aspect and of the script, and what you see in the TV, like what you see in the movies or in the web series. If you keep watching them, if you watch them critically, then that will refine your writing. So anyone is having some question, please come in and speak. So Now I will talk about the characters. Okay. So as I have told in my previous classes about the entry of the characters. So it is not only just the entry of the characters which is important, it's also the build up of the character, how you build up a character, and not only the main characters, not only the main character or main characters, but also the other characters. Like if there is a villain, now who is the villain? The villain could be a person within himself, the villain could be an object, the villain could be someone outside our world. Now I am not talking about the gravity of the villain, the fearness of the villain. What I am talking about is the character of the villain. See, it's easy to portray someone bad as bad, but there are some reasons that why human beings do some inhuman work. It's not that I was talking to my uncle, and he is from UP, and he is having a lot of friends. I mean, many people you see on TV, and some of them are portrayed as bad people, but he says that they become so because of some injustice which happened to them in the past. So when you are making the character, when you are building up the character, keep that thing in mind. Now, backstory of each character. When you are having a story, there are various characters. As I said in this movie, that there was some backstory of the mother, there was some backstory of the grandmother. So, and there is of course some backstory of the village, that they are all are rooted into their place, and they have some cultural aspect. And likewise, you also, when you are making a, like when you are making a movie, when you are thinking about writing a story, so there should be some emphasis on the backstory of the each character, and why this character is so, and what that character is going to play the role, what is his role in the story. Not just that he is a comedy artist, so I will put him in the story. I mean, you see a lot of movies, particularly in India, that this old tradition of putting one comic character, because comic character was already going from the silent era. We saw Charles Chaplin and other people who were doing so much comedy, because during the silent era, that thing they continued till now. And but they don't know how to use those artists. I mean, they are brilliant artists. And if you remember the movie Hatya, if anyone of have seen the movie Hatya, it was a Govinda's movie back in 1980s. I think it came in 87 or 88, and Johnny Lever became popular with that movie, and he had very few dialogues, but his expressions were so good. Till now, people can't use him as a Mahmood tried to express himself through cinema, like through direction and writing. He made Kuwara Baap. It was a wonderful movie. So never think a character like he's a funny. If someone is funny, there must be something that why he's a funny. If someone is doing bad things, there must be some reason. Maybe they are getting this knowledge from the family, heredity is like that, or maybe they are having some injustices happen to them. So character building is also important. So for each character, it's not that you have to go into the detailing backstory, but at least think about a character, that my character is like this, so that might have happened to that. Now many web series, what they do apart from films, and so far I have talked about the films, but when it comes to the web series nowadays, what they are doing, they are showing almost complete story, the backstory of a character into an episode. Now that is also wonderful. So suppose if you are writing for web series, it's good, and I have given example of this web series of The Leftovers, which is on Hotstar, and in that they give the backstory. Netflix doesn't give backstory of each character so much, but they are giving, and it's wonderful. If the story is wonderful, if the story is wonderful, only then the backstory you should like. So when you are writing a backstory, suppose now you are writing a backstory for a web series as a separate episode, then that story should have that 3 act structure. So suppose something happened to me, and it was for 3 days. Suppose I went somewhere to give exam, and I prepared for it, and when I went there to give exam, I got sick, and how I struggled those 3 days, and somehow I succeeded to give the exam and to go to the written exam, and then I could clear the exam. So that struggle was there. So that struggle should have a 3 act structure, keeping me as a separate. Now this thing important, what happened to me at that time was at that time, not what is happening to me now. So when you are writing a backstory of that character, and suppose you have already shown 6 7 episodes, and this character was already there, and we are watching him what's going to his present life, but when you are going to the backstory, keep him as a separate character. And but one more important thing, that giving a backstory must be related to why he or she is it now. So it should be for character building. Keep this thing in mind when you are writing for a web series and you are going to write an episode of the backstory of a particular character. That backstory should gives us hint that why this person is like this. And there is a character of a father, and the Christian father, church father, in the leftovers, and he is a very good person. I mean, I think his backstory comes in the second season, and he is a very good person, like too good. I mean, too good means too much good. And then in the second season, we come to know about his backstory, that he wasn't like that, but some miracle happened. His wife couldn't speak, and some miracle happened, and that's why he got faith in the God. So that's why now in the second season we come to know. And but for the whole first season, he was a kind of mystery. I mean, you know that if someone is good, if someone is too good, so first thing is like you will become suspicious. You will say, why is so good? Maybe he's having something like that. He wants to take something. He's just showing off. So he was like that. He was too good for throughout the series, and throughout the first season. In the second season, we see his past story, and very beautiful story. It's a very beautiful story. Now, there is not only one thing hidden in the character, and to make the character, sometimes you need more than one story. Some other, like my character or your character, is not single aspect. I mean, there could be various aspects of our characters, but those aspects should be there. Like those aspects should be changing the story, turning the story, the main story, it should be turning. And you can go to the backstories of those aspects. So this is how the backstories first, what I told you, that don't stress too much of the backstories. Give intelligent cues if you are writing a movie. When you are writing an episode, you can use those backstories, but those should help in building the character. Now comes to the characterization. Now, I said yesterday that however good your story is, however interesting your idea is, if the characters doesn't, if they are not interesting, then there is no tension. Now it is a very common saying in the literary world also, and in the theater world, that drama is tension. Now this tension doesn't come only if the missile is coming from a satellite to earth. The tension is also when what is the drama behind that, and drama comes with the human interaction, and this human interaction creates the drama. There are some good movies, if you watch them, and good series also, where drama takes place in a very close space and very few characters are there. But what is drama? What is drama? If I ask what is drama, drama is something like you get excited, you get tensed, and your tension is released. That is simply, I would say, that is a drama. Like you get tensed watching something or reading something, and then that is released, and it comes out very nice when they are characters. And now, what kind of characters? One thing is that if I am writing a film, I introduce characters in the very beginning, 10 or 15 minutes of the story. When I am writing a web series, I can give new characters, but those characters should somewhere connected to the old characters, or they should be very necessary to the story. And while building the characters, I give their backstory, and then the interaction between those characters is very important, and that creates our drama. The more complicated a person is, the more is the drama. And complicated means we all are not black or white, we are mixed up of our ideas, we have our own fears, the fear of society, the fear of our own thoughts, the fear of our own actions. And we all are humans, not gods. So we do some mistakes, sometimes we have ego, and the same guy is having so much heart, like, so things happen to all of us. And but when these things happen, and how it impacts our relations, how it impacts particularly our close relations, that is called drama. A husband and wife, I tell you now, I will give you example, like there's a very famous Bollywood actor, old actor, like he's old now, he's alive. He was having affair with his wife for like before they got married. He was having affair for 18 years. After 18 years they got married, and after 1 year they got divorced. Now you think that two people meeting for 18 years, nothing happened at that time. But unfortunately, when they got married, within 1 year, so much conflict arose that their love for the past 18 years had to go off. The person said that I was same as I was before marriage. My personality was same. She knew everything about me. What's wrong? And the aspect of the wife we don't know, because she was not into the films and she didn't give any interview. But now this example I am giving not for kind of rumor or gossip kind of thing, but just think as a situation that what could have happened, the conflict between the two people, the clash of personalities. That is very important, and it happens in almost, if you see all the movies, this drama is this clash of personalities, clash of our egos, clash of our wishes. There's a one series on Netflix, and its name is Lost in Space. Its name is Lost in Space, and there's a one particular character, I think, a lady fraud doctor. And if you watch this web series, you will find that her character is actually, you will say that it's a very bad character, she's a very bad woman. Sometimes you say that she's a good woman, sometimes you are lost that what kind of character is this. And this complexity of this character is one important aspect of this whole series. I mean, there are a lot of things happening. I mean, the story is very interesting. It's, as the name suggests, lost in space, people in the future time going to some other planet because Earth is not inhabitable, and there this drama is happening. And this was particular character, I think her name is Doctor something, Dr. Martin or something, whatever. So this particular character is not very good, not very bad, and but she takes the whole story. And when you are watching, you are always thinking that if she will come and will she help them, or will she do another blunder. So this I mean, you can go, and I mean, when you are in a group of people, when you are in a college, you see that it's very rare that all of them don't do blunders. Like most of the friends, most of us do some blunders which are not acceptable part of the society, but there are some valid designs. Sometimes we do those blunders for goodness also, but other people don't understand. So this aspect you can keep while building up your characters are not black or white. Characters have their own need, but that need has to be satisfied with the social norms that you can use. And now I will come to another example. And yesterday we talked about the structures, and I gave examples of some web series that the structure about in terms of whether it should be linear, parallel, or interactive structure. as I think Mr. Gopi asked about this thing. So structure is one is 3 act structure, that is different. That is like problem, and then a journey, and then the battle. So another aspect about the structure is that whether the action is taking place in a one place or in various places in various times, and that when you come to the writing and editing, and those are the crucial times. Not shooting is not crucial, but that is the time when you write. Like suppose an action is three friends, they moved out of a place and they went to another cities. And one particular day, suppose I'm giving you example of this, how you will build this kind of structure. Three friends, they studied together, they went to different cities to start their lives. One day, at a particular time, someone calls them and he talks about their secrets, and he blackmails, or she calls them and she blackmails them at a particular time. And at a particular time, they have to move to various places to find and to solve their problem. Now, when we are writing, like the friend A, friend B, friend C, but these things, now in this, we have already given a kind of structure, a three parallel structures, three line structure. So all of them will go and work. So when we are writing, we will write about A is doing this thing, B is doing this thing, C is doing this thing, and what they are doing, they all should be within the same time. If they are within the same times, that looks beautiful, but don't mix up with too many structures. Sometimes it could go like future or past, or as I told you. Now why I am talking about structure thing again is some example I wanted to give you, and I would say that this example is a wonderful example, and it came so many years back through the movie. The wonderful producer we have, the movie is Star Wars. So if you have not seen movies, it's a very beautiful series. I mean, at least the first 3 or 5 episodes. So if you are not aware of this thing, Star Wars starts the first movie which was made. Nowadays you watch lot of sequels, like this movie comes and now another part comes, but a movie recently came with the prequel, what happened in the past. The whole story goes into the past, and that is Bahubali part 2 in India. But in Hollywood, they have already done this thing, and the person, I'm forgetting the producer's name. So he did this thing in the Star Wars. The first part of the Star Wars is the actually the last part of the Star Wars. I don't know whether he had the whole story in the mind, but whether he had or he had not, if he had not the whole story up to the parts which are going in the present time, the franchisee, this I would say is a piece of art. It's a wonderful piece of writing. I mean, how could you think something you write? I mean, and this thing I think none has done. I have seen so far the movies. I have never seen any movie before Star Wars that you are writing your first movie, which is the end of the series. The next movie is before that, and the next movie what happened before that, the next before that, before, and now we are moving backward. So Katha Sarit Sagar is a literature which we have, which our teachers told us, but I haven't read that. But within that story also there is like, it's like story of one character, the story of another character goes, then the story, then they are interconnected. But I have never heard about this thing. Just I saw in that this series of Star Wars that the story moves backward. So if you could write something like that, the first movie is the end, the next movie is, you can make it in a type of series like first season, what is happening now, or what would be happening in the future. Then what happened, like what happened after 1000 years, what happened at 900 years ago, 800 years ago, and each episode. So you can write 10 episodes for that. Any question anyone wants to ask? Now, any one of you have written something? I mean, I have said about writing, watching movies, watching web series, But this is the time also that you should start writing your screenplay, I mean. And first write a feature film screenplay, then move to the web series. And so develop an idea, and from that you go to my previous videos and then try to develop a 2-page synopsis, then 5-page synopsis. Now another aspect which I wanted to tell in today's class, it's a very subjective kind of experience. Now remember this thing, that however good your story or your idea is, first thing I said, that keep little bit about the backstories, and also keep this thing in mind that drama is created by the characters, not by the instruments. Instruments, when we use instruments, then the drama comes. When we use the instrument. So human beings, their actions creates the drama. It's not an actions. As I said in the last 2 classes. क्या हो रहा है यार ये? So as I said in the last 2 classes, that actions speak louder than the words. So to create a drama, it's not necessary that 2 people are talking. There are examples when 2 people are talking. I tell you that one exception. I mean, I and my friend Mukesh Kabir Kapoor, and we have written a couple of scripts together, and often we talk about the movies of Martin Scorsese. So if you see the movies of Martin Scorsese, except Taxi Driver, there's so much talk, so much talk. If you watch Goodfellas, if you watch whatever, I mean, he has made many gangster movies. So if you watch those movies, so there is a lot of drama which is created by, but of course there are circumstances also which creates the drama. It's not just dialogues. Dialogues are one part, because dialogues are our general conversation, and when you are, suppose you are showing a community which speaks a lot, there are particular people who speaks a lot, there are particular people, particular communities, I doesn't mean to say of communities within a space. I mean, when I talk about community, it means Indian community. When I talk about community, Italian community as a whole, not someone from Sicily or someone from Rome. So people of various countries, they have a tendency, some speak more, some speak less, some laugh more, some laugh less, some smiles more. Like when you are talking to some people from outside India, there are some countries where they will become offended. Why you smile a lot? And some people you will find not smiling. So these aspects you keep in mind, and but however your how much you, I mean, whatever your story is, like you can have a beautiful story, and but the example which I gave you about the, I have seen Shutter Island by Martin. Okay, the example which I gave, like the movie I saw recently, this movie had a very brilliant idea, a man without gravity, and his base is like the Forrest Gump kind of structure he tried to give, same character, and one rip-off, I would call it rip-off, from Taxi Driver. The character from Taxi Driver in 70s in America, who wanted to kill the president, he took that character back to Italy. Everything is beautiful, everything is very intelligent, but the movie became boring. It became boring, and suddenly it became dull in the middle. So length, give some length of the movies. Though 120 minutes is nowadays acceptable length, and sometimes people write 140 minutes. When you write for 140 minutes, you will end up in writing 135 or 132 minutes. So try to make it up to 220 minutes. That is my preference, and you can change the things like introduction and other things to that timing. So even if a story is very good, even if your knowledge is very good, but you have to work on the screenplay. You have to sit, you have to watch, you have to study, then you have to and make a habit. It's very difficult. It's very, very, very extremely difficult, because this is an arts. And the time you might become a successful writer or not. Every one of you, get ready that you are not going to become a writer. But make a pledge that I become a writer or not, I will keep writing. Someday I will donate my writings. If there is my ancestor, like my if I have to give my inheritance, I will give to my successor. But if you want to write, you keep writing, because sometimes what happens, okay, you are into films or you are into journalism, or suppose you meet someone and that person is able to produce a movie or direct a movie, and he is searching for, he will ask you, do you have some script? You will say, okay, yeah, I have a horror. Then it's good that you have 2 3 horrors. I told this thing, that when you are writing in a genre, write in that genre. You should have at least 5 6 scripts ready in that genre. With that also, you need to have something in other genres. Now he will ask you, or she will ask you that, how many scripts you have. You will say, I have one. Okay, you have one. Okay, but if you have 3, you can say, okay, I have 3 scripts, I have written 3 scripts. And you give him or her 3 scripts, and he or she might like it like 1 script. So you need to have a bank of scripts with you. And for that, you need to spend your time, and time not in just filling the pages, time of research, time in watching. And you also need to have some revenue from other sources. It could be a business source, it could be a like, I have seen many people complaining about this thing. It could be your job also. They complain that, I'm pursuing this career for the long time and I don't get success. But I tell you one thing, apart from the jobs, like we easily get jobs. If you go to business and you see many people are changing lot of businesses, one business after another, but it is a process of our learning. Likewise here also, in the films also, there are many people who get very, I know someone who got very huge success, I think 13 years back, very huge success. But he became arrogant, and after that, I mean, so, or might be the projects which he got weren't, they were not to up to his mark. So this thing, keep in mind that any moment can come. As it is said, Rome was not built in a one day, and any moment can come in your life. If you are a writer, someone will ask you, because being a writer doesn't mean that you will just stay at home. You will be sending your scripts. You disturb the people, you disturb the other people, you disturb the production houses, you disturb the directors. But for that, you need to have done so much work. You need to have a bank of scripts, and good scripts, and some source of revenue should come from other sources. Revenue should come from other sources to sustain this activity. And it's not this activity, many activities which take years. In business, it is said that grandfather starts the business and the grandson enjoys the business. So 2 generations are lost in that kind of wealth which a business gives. Now, as a writer, it's luck. I would say luck is okay, luck is one thing, but luck comes with the hard work. So work hard, do that, but also get some revenue from other sources. So I will, if there is any question, I will take on. I think today I am not taking any more questions because there was some problem, and I will stop this class here. Already it is 11 o'clock. So see you tomorrow. Tomorrow I will check this internet connectivity. It won't happen again. Thank you very much, everybody.